Hey everybody, Mr. Buckle here with a couple of questions from the Chapter 5 review from the textbook. Up here I have number 6, where we are given a fraction and we are asked to simplify the fraction. So I see kind of a lot of business going on here. I have negative 24 x to the third power times y divided by or over 32x squared y squared, and we want to simplify this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this negative 24 over the 32. That's a fraction that can be reduced. 8 goes into both 24 and 32, so that can be reduced to negative 3 over 8. Negative 24 over 32 can be reduced to negative 3 over 8. So that's where this comes from. And now I'm done with these two coefficients here. Then I have an x to the third over x squared. If I have 3 x's in the numerator, 2 x's in the denominator, these 2 x's cancel out with 2 of the x's in the numerator, leaving us with 1 x in the numerator, because these two canceled out with 2 of them that were up here. So we have 1x left in the numerator, and I should probably extend that line a little bit, but x is in the numerator. We'll see that nicely here in a minute. Then we have y over y squared. Therefore, there are 2 y's in the denominator and 1 y in the numerator. So this 1 y cancels out with 1 of the y's in the denominator, leaving us with just 1 y in the denominator. So now we've simplified this. We have negative 3 in the numerator and an x in the numerator and an 8 and a y in the denominator. So our answer to this, written nicely, would be negative 3x over 8y. And this is what this fraction simplifies to. Another problem, number 8, we have x over y divided by x over z. We're dividing fractions here, so the process for dividing fractions is to take the reciprocal of the second fraction, or of the divisor, and multiply. So this will be written then as x over y. Notice I didn't change the first fraction, but I took the reciprocal of the second fraction, x over z, which becomes z over x, and then I'm going to multiply these two fractions. And multiplying fractions is as easy as just multiplying across. We have x times z, and x times z is xz. And then we have y times x is yx, or I wrote it as xy here. And now this can be simplified because we have an x in the numerator and an x in the denominator. These two cancel out, so they're gone. X divided by x is 1, leaving us with just 1. But we have the z over y still there, so this simplifies to z over y. And I don't know what z over y is, so z over y is our answer. So x over y divided by x over z is z over y. Another problem here, we have 28v over 4v minus 2.4, and what we're asked here is to find what's the value of v that can't be. What can v not be? When we look at this, we're working with a fraction and we're dividing by 4v minus 2.4, and in a fraction or in a division problem we can never divide by 0. Just doesn't work. You can't divide things into 0 groups. So what that means is that 4v minus 2.4 cannot be equal to 0. So I want to solve this equation right here. I want to find out, well, what number for v will make the denominator equal to 0, and that's the number that v cannot be, because if v was that number, the denominator would be 0, and we can't divide by 0. So I'm going to solve this equation. 4v minus 2.4 equals 0. And I'm going to add 2.4 to both sides to get 4v equals 2.4. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 4 and get 0.6. So v cannot be 0.6. Because if v was 0.6, and we plugged it in for v here, and we did 4 times 0.6 minus 2.4, we would get 0. And 28 times 0.6 divided by 0 is undefined. You can't do it. So v cannot be 0.6 would be our answer there. And one more, we have negative 28k over 5 equals 14 over 3, and here we are asked to solve for k. We have a proportion. The protocol for solving proportions is cross-multiplying. It's kind of the relationship between two proportions, or a proportion, two ratios that are equal. So I'm going to cross-multiply, and I'm going to kind of attach this negative sign to the 28k. I could attach it to the negative 5, but I'm going to attach it to the negative 28k, and I'm going to get negative 28k times 3. I'm multiplying these two, negative 28k times 3, and this should be equal to 5 times 14, multiplying by these two. This is cross multiplying because we're kind of going across the equal sign, I guess. And this is true for any fractions that are equal. If you multiply the numerator times the opposing denominator and vice versa, you will get a true statement. That's what this is saying here. So negative 28k times 3 is equal to 5 times 14. And now we're just going to solve this equation by simplifying. Negative 28k times 3 is negative 84k. Negative 28 times 3 is negative 84, and there's the k kind of hanging out there. The 70 comes from 5 times 14. So we have negative 84k equals 70. To solve this equation, we're going to divide both sides by negative 84, and we get k equals 70 over negative 84, which is not a very nice looking fraction, and we can reduce that, and that essentially gets reduced to, or eventually gets reduced to, negative 5/6. So k, the value of k is negative 5/6. Kind of nasty. It's a fraction in a fraction. But we did that by cross multiplying, solving the equation for k, and then reducing that fraction to get negative 5/6.